Learning from adult role models who are deaf or hard of hearing, presented by Outreach Programs, the Colorado School for the Deaf and the Blind. The CSDB logo is displayed with the tagline, Learning, Thriving, Leading. Our presenter, Shay, is seated on a carpeted step in a reading corner of a kindergarten classroom. She is communicating in sign language with voice narration. Captions are below on screen. Title, Shay.
Hi, my name is Shay White. I am a deaf person. I was born deaf. My mom had rubella when she was pregnant. And when I was born, my mom had no idea that I was deaf until 13 months old. She knew something wasn't right, so she decided to go to the doctor. And the doctor said, no, she's hearing. And the reason he said that is because he would stand behind me and I would look behind me to see where he was. So they said I was hearing. Ultimately, the fourth doctor did say I was deaf, and my mom wasn't sure what to do. This particular doctor recommended that I go to the oral school for the deaf. So my mom placed me there at the age of 1.
Title, Challenges Growing Up.
So after 5 years at the oral school, I learned how to communicate by speaking only. At this particular school, signing was forbidden. So I learned how to speak, and I have a tendency to read lips. And my mom, too, reads lips. And that's how she and I communicated with one another. Now, when it came to my dad, he did not lip read. And if I didn't understand what he was saying, I would spell the word in the air. We didn't use any sign language in terms of the alphabet, so it was spelling in the air when I communicated with my dad. So again, when I finished with the oral school, I went to a mainstream program, and I was the only deaf child at that school. There was a deaf program there, so I did attend this school. Later, I found a card that had the ABCs on it, and I showed it to my mom, and my mom said, no, that's not sign language. No, it's not finger spelling. And her response really confused me. So I went back to school, and I asked the teacher, is this finger spelling the ABCs? And she said, yes, it is. And when I realized, my mom was afraid that I would learn sign language and I would no longer use my voice. And she was scared by that thought. So she did not encourage the sign language. Finally, we did learn sign when I was in middle school, and my mom learned sign language as well. But she used English word order, such as I am going to the store. So again, it was an English word order. I went to a deaf camp, and there were so many deaf people there. And I realized that there are a lot of deaf people. And I wish I knew this a long time ago. I wish I had met many deaf people before. So my friend and I, who both attended that oral program, so we knew each other. We communicated with one another, not using sign, but I had to rely on her to tell me what everybody was saying. And I didn't feel great about that at all. I went to the camp again, and things did get better. And when I got to high school, it was then that it really hit me. My communication was limited. I was missing what everybody was saying. Growing up, I did not have an interpreter. I didn't write back and forth with others. And again, it was high school that I realized I was missing things. I was taking a chemistry class, and I couldn't lip read the million-dollar words they were using. So I relied on my classmate, and we wrote on carbon paper, and I would get the notes that way, but still it was a struggle. My mom had it on a recorder, and she would take notes for me, but what a responsibility for her to have to do that. It was very difficult, socializing with the kids at the school, with all of the hearing kids. Fortunately, I did have 2 friends that helped me out a lot. Again, when kids were talking to me, they didn't look at me anymore. Because hearing people tend to look around as they're talking. I need that eye contact. I need to look right at them to understand what they're saying. So again, it was extremely difficult for me.
Title: Education and Career.
I graduated and I did go to college. I went to Gallaudet University. It's a college for the deaf. And I had a little bit of culture shock when it came to deaf culture. You'd see the different groups. You'd have one that would be speaking. You would have a group of people that come from a strong deaf family that use ASL. Another group would use Pidgin Signed English or direct English. I was under the impression that we were all the same, but that wasn't the case. But anyway, I graduated from Gallaudet with a BA in secondary education in math. And after that, I decided to go for my master's in deaf education, and that was in Maryland. I loved math when I was growing up. I did become a math teacher, and that's what I'm doing now. And I want these deaf students to learn and have a challenge. I want to teach them to do better based on my experiences. I don't want them to be substandard. Growing up, I missed a lot, specifically with vocabulary. Not having the sign language, I didn't learn those words. I wish my parents had let me learn sign language when I was younger so I could improve upon my vocabulary. When I got to Gallaudet, I learned sign language, and when I came back home, my mom, she was shocked. She saw a change. She saw that I was better, and she regrets not putting me in a school for the deaf. I would have sign language to communicate, and ultimately my vocabulary would have been enhanced. I am grateful to my parents for allowing me to socialize with hearing people and for allowing me to socialize with deaf people as well. I have two modes of communication. I'm able to speak with the hearing people, and I'm able to use ASL with deaf people. I'm most comfortable communicating with American Sign Language because I don't miss any information. When I'm talking with hearing people, again, I don't have perfect speech. And when it comes to lip reading, I still miss things. So I prefer to use ASL as my mode of communication.
Title: Closing Thoughts.
What I would like for hearing people to know is that don't perceive them as deaf people can't do things. Deaf people can do anything they want. They can do anything that hearing people can do, except hear.
Learning from adult role models who are deaf or hard of hearing has been a production of the Colorado School for the Deaf and the Blind, 33 North Institute Street, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80903, 719-578-2100, www.csdb.org. Videography by Deb Branch and Sean Levier, copyright 2014.
Audio description, Jim Olson. Editing assistants, Diane Covington, Dr. Laura Douglas. Captioning, Neil Anthony Thomas, Corey McCormick. Transcription, Eleanor Vasquez.